Hi everyone. Today we'll be sharing 4 new rules for the classic game Reversi. This game dates back to the 1880s and involves 2 players placing and turning over black and white discs on an 8x8 grid. Now if you want to know the basics of the regular rules, there are other videos you can watch. But today we're going to share with you these new rules to spice up the game. It can make it more complicated and introduce new types of strategy. Without further ado, let's begin. The first rule that we're going to go over today is called the disc flip. To demonstrate this rule, we've set up a sample game partway through play. The basis of how the rule works is that at any point in the game, each player can use one and only one turn to turn one of your opponent's discs over without placing one of your own. So, in normal play, perhaps at this point, white puts down a disc in a place where he can turn over black discs. Then, black puts down a disc where he can turn over white discs. So this is normal. Now here's an example of how this new rule works. White goes next. Instead of placing a white disc down, he can take any black disc and simply turn it over. And then, as if it were a new piece being put down, black discs would then be turned accordingly. Each player can do this once during the game. Now, if you want to make it extra wacky, you may decide with your opponent before the game begins to each get 2 or even 3 disc flips over the course of the game. The second way of playing that we'll be going over today is called the 6x6 game. In this alternate version, you only play with a game board grid that is 6x6 tiles in size. We begin with the same starting pattern of 2x2 in the center. Now, if you play 6x6, the game will be a little bit shorter. Once the 6x6 grid is complete, then whoever has the most tiles in their color wins. Here's a sample ending of the 6x6 game. The third way of playing is called 36 tiles. Again, we begin with the original starting pattern of 2x2. Then each player gets 16 tiles to place. In this version, the whole grid is fair play. The strategy is a little different because the corners and the edges don't quite matter as much anymore. When the 36 tiles have been played, the game ends. Here is a time-lapse version of the 36 tiles game. The fourth new rule states that you don't have to capture a piece when you play a piece. In the beginning of this way of playing, you start with a blank slate and no pieces on the board. Each player may place 1 tile, but is not required to capture anything. It's very interesting to have it play out with many more new different possibilities and strategies. We'll start out a game with this version so that you can see how it works. And now we come to the bonus rule. In this way of playing, you can start with an alternate setup. Usually, the starting position for the game is a 2x2 grid in the middle of the board with alternating pieces of black and white as you see here. But if you want, you can start out with any configuration you like. For example, you can start out like this, or you can start out like this, or this, or lastly, like this. Anything goes. That's our new take on the game Reversi. As always, you can mix and match and combine whatever rules you wish. Let us know in the comments which rule you like the best, or maybe if you've invented your own rules that you want to share. We hope you enjoyed watching and have fun.